Hi guys, welcome back to another podcast by the Last Thoughts blog. As ever, I'm joined by Reese Hurd, and making his second appearance in a row, Don Ballard.
Good afternoon.
And Carl Pont has returned.
Yes.
From his international duties.
Wearing a filthy international football
round your shirt that Reese Hurd is fully Johnny Rustled by.
Hala Madrid.
Right, so we'll start with Reese. What were your thoughts on the game yesterday, mate?
It was just one of them crazy games, wasn't it, really? Like I said on the little review we did, you don't get too many of them over the course of a season. Ultimately, if it weren't for the change of shape, I think we'd probably end up taking a hammering in the end yesterday. Because until we changed it, we could quite easily have been 3, if not 4 down, in reality.
Dom?
Yeah, I think what Rhys is saying pretty much spot on. I think the first 10-15 minutes we looked really good. You wouldn't have thought we'd not scored in 4 games prior to this game. Then after that first 10-15 minutes we just looked like we absolutely collapsed, and the goal, just everyone heads dropped and they absolutely battered us first half, didn't they? But yeah, in second half I think the change of shape just before half time really did change things when we scored 3 goals. I think that says a lot about what the 3-5-2 formation does for us. We scored 3 goals. Yeah, we conceded 2, we drew 3-all, but it's a little improvement. We still were poor in some parts of the game, but we were better in some areas as well. So it's a good point, I think.
Carl?
Yeah, I was before Southend's goal, I thought we were by quite a distance actually the better team. I thought we looked a lot more threatening than they had. It was just a sort of moment of madness in the box where Thomas Holly thought he got fouled, and everyone just sort of fell asleep, and he's done an overhead kick that's gone in what felt like slow motion, gone in, and after that everyone's heads dropped, confidence went back to what it felt like at the end of last season, where no one was really playing to even part of their best ability. And it was really telling that Pennock decided to change the system before half time when it was so close, because normally managers wait to half time to that to save the players coming off a bit of embarrassment, but he clearly didn't hold back this time and felt a shape needed to be changed there and then. Second half we looked a lot better, the system change showed, and the fact that we've got a big donkey up front in Eves playing 4 people wide instead of the usual 2, because we're having to play wing backs with then doing a full-back and a winger position, gave Eves the delivery he needed, and he scored 2 headers from it.
Reese, so we'll talk about the shape. Just before half time, Max Samer brought off the pitch. Was it a decision that had to be done?
Yeah. The crowd were getting very, very restless. Once Southend had scored, and for the next 5 minutes they were asking to put another one past us. The crowd started to get a bit down, started to get on the team's back. And like Carl says, in an ideal world he waits till half time and then makes the change, but we looked that precarious that if he hadn't have done it, even though it was only 3 or 4 minutes before half time, that 3 or 4 minutes we could have let another one in, and if we'd go 2-0 down, you'd probably think it's a different game then, and we probably would have struggled to have got back into it.
Dom, obviously you're not Matt Samer's biggest fan. Obviously on social media last night there was a lot about Aimer getting protected and from performances. A question I want to ask you is that is he a scapegoat for this Gillingham side, or has the criticism he's been receiving quite deserved?
I think in some cases it is fair. If you look at the whole defence as a whole over this season so far, he's probably been the worst player. I mean, some of his decision making, like we've seen it last week at MK Dons, when he went out and lost the ball, but then he recovered with a last-ditch tackle. I think he just needs that one really, really solid game just to like get his confidence back up again. But I mean, we've been calling for it for like the last 3 or 4 weeks of this season, and obviously last season as well. We needed to change the system, and obviously you're not going to take Zakuani off, you're not going to take Lacey off, so it had to be Aimer. And I don't think that's down to him having a bad game that game. It's down to him being probably the weaker of the actual 3, and that's a decision that had to be made, and Pennock made that decision.
Cole, obviously with the change of shape, 2 banks of 4, and amazingly with it changing, and within 10 or 15 minutes, suddenly got 2 goals out of it.
Well, yeah, because that way you don't have. Essentially, you've got 2 players trying to do the job of 4 players when you're playing wing backs, which can work in some instances. But when you've got Ogilvie, who is definitely a defensive-minded player, he doesn't want to burst forward, despite the fact he assisted the 2nd goal. Because I suppose the fact he's got another person to cover on the wing if he's going on the overlap gives him a bit of freedom to do that. Makes the lives easier for everyone. And by playing only 2 wingers, especially when you've got, like I said, with Ogilvie and O'Neill, neither of them are players that want to burst forwards. They want to sit back a little bit, so it felt more like a 5-3-2 than a 3-5-2. But when you're doing that, it's a flat 4-4-2. You've got 2 wingers, and I thought Barker was actually very good on the wing. It's amazing what happens when you play him in a position that we've all been saying he should be played in. And it came with good results, mostly.
So, coming away from the shape, Reece, someone that is now live on our YouTube channel, Liam Nash. What did you make of his performance yesterday?
No, I thought there was plenty of promise in there. Like Carl said, the first 15 minutes of the game we was probably the better team, and I thought he was a large part of that. He was a willing runner, as we know we're going to get with him. It puts defenders under pressure and makes life more difficult for them. You know, he was trying to stretch them, get in behind, because players like Anton Ferdinand aren't the quickest. I think he won us a foul at some point, didn't he? Because he got a bit of a boot in the foot, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's what he does. He does draw fouls, and obviously I suppose he got taken off because it was his first start and all of that. But plenty of promise there for him. He didn't really have a chance to score, but in the grand scheme of things, I thought stepping up from where he is to League One football, I didn't feel like he looked out of place.
Yeah, because
imagination.
You could see that in his performance yesterday. Certainly when we were interviewing him before the game, you could see how hungry he was.
Yeah.
And could you say that in his performance yesterday?
Yeah, you can tell. Like I say, just the way he puts himself about. Even if he's not got the ball, he's putting defenders under pressure, working hard, trying to nick the ball back for us, and that's just his desire to prove, like he said to us, to prove himself. He believes in himself that he can prove himself at this level, and that's what he's trying to do. He just needs to try and keep his performances going. Now down his place in the team, and I'm sure the goals will start coming for him, because obviously, as he's proven last season at Malden, he clearly knows where the net is. If we can get him chances, get him feeding off scraps in the box, I'm sure he'll start putting them away quite soon.
Dom, what did you make of Nasher yesterday?
Yeah, exactly what Reece said. I think it was a good performance, good first start. The tracking of chasing down lost causes is what we need, because we know Eves isn't going to run at defenders and try and chase the ball. That's what we need, and I think every Gillingham fan knows that we play our best kind of football, our best style of play. We've got a big man and a little man up front. Nash can do the dirty work and get goals when he needs to get goals when he's in the box. Then Eves can just do the hold-up play, win headers. So they're working really well together. It'd be interesting when Wilkinson eventually comes back, see who Pennock decides to partner with Nash. But I think Nash has to start, because you just need that little and big man. But it'd be a good battle between Eves and Wilkinson to cement their place in the first team.
Carl?
Yeah, the thing I admired most about Nash was his work rate, because he wasn't giving the centre-halves for Southend any respite. They were trying to pass it around the back, and he just chased them, pass it to the one on the right, chase, and then he goes back to the left and he would turn around and chase it back. Yeah, gives him no rest. I'm not surprised he come off for 70 minutes, because he was probably absolutely exhausted. So if we just, the thing he needs to work on really is just getting a bit fitter. If he's going to play with that sort of play style, if we could have that for a full 90 minutes, it'd be exceptional. I don't know actually, because I think Eves and Nash would probably be our best pairing now that if we're playing the 4-4-2. I think that'd be the best pairing, because we've got a really big man who will hold up the ball, and then a little person to complement with him. I don't know if Wilkinson would get back in the team when he's come back from suspension, with the exception of Nash being exhausted if it's like a midweek game, or just injured.
Okay, so as we're on the topic of the strike partners, we'll talk about one of them yesterday. Tom Eves obviously got himself a hat-trick. Reece, what did you make of his performance?
We was having a good old laugh at him in the first half, weren't we?
Yeah, we was, yeah.
He wasn't good in the first half.
No.
just the bit obviously you two have just said that sort of maybe him and Nash can work quite well because of his ability to hold the ball up, but I don't think he holds it up very well at all. He certainly can't run with it. How many 2 or 3 times yesterday he's picked the ball up on the halfway line and tried charging forward with it and just like run into the Southend defenders as if he doesn't actually realise they're standing there. But as we saw from the goals he scored for Yeovil and whatever, his strength is balls from wide into the box and let him attack it that way, where he's not got his back to goal, he's got something to attack going towards the goal, and his 2 headers were very, very good. I preferred, in terms of his actual finish, the second goal was all round was better than the first, but his header for the first one was superb. He looped it over back across the goal like what he should have done. And the second one was all about the delivery. He's just had to guide it into the bottom corner. But there is signs there that has to be the big thing that Pennock takes, is that we've gone 410 minutes, whatever it was at the time, without scoring, and then we've changed the shape, scored 3 in 40 minutes. 2 coming from getting the ball out wide and getting into the box, playing to Eves' best attribute, I think, which is attacking crosses.
Dom, what did you make of Tom Eves yesterday?
Yeah, I thought he'd done okay in the grand scheme of things. I know first half, as Reece said, he wasn't at his best. I mean, when he starts running at the defender, it's like a tree trying to run in a forest. Like he just went into people, and the fans got a bit frustrated because he was losing possession really easily. But no, since Pennock changed the shape and we're getting balls in the box, that is where he's going to score goals. I know I've criticised him this season so far, but I'll happily give him his due yesterday because he's got a hat trick, and I can't remember the last player that actually did score a hat trick for us.
Josh Wright.
Well, yeah, Josh Wright in the 3 penalties. Yeah.
But before that, it was Joker 4.
Joker 4. Yeah. So credit where it's due for him. He had a really good game yesterday, and just hopefully now we stick with this formation, play to his strengths, and maybe he will get double figures. Maybe if we use him as the proper outlet he can be, maybe we'll see more goals, see a bit more from him.
So I actually thought once we changed the shape, whereas all the games so far it's been us playing this 3-5-2, conceding a lot of possession and sitting off. Once we went to 4-4-2, it wasn't like that. I thought we had quite a lot of the ball, and that inevitably
more positive.
It suddenly clicked with the players.
It looks really comfortable.
It allowed us to get the ball out into these dangerous areas a lot more often and create more chances. I think we ended up with 6 shots on target yesterday. That's what we'd managed in all 4 games combined up to yesterday.
I don't know about you 3. As soon as we changed the shape into a 4-4-2, it seemed like the players relaxed more.
They felt more comfortable.
Yeah, and they started knocking the ball round.
It's a familiar formation, isn't it? It's the basic formation.
Yeah.
There's no like hidden terms with it. I think everyone knows their roles if you're playing in a 4-4-2. It's probably what most players get brought up playing as kids. Yeah. So that's the position they're taught to play in. There's not a lot of rocket science behind it, really, is it? It is what it is. Use your wingers properly and get the 2 strikers attacking balls. Yeah. And that's what we've managed to do quite well in the second half.
I think one player that really did thrive under it, he's been playing the number 10 role. I thought Lee Martin was brilliant second half out wide.
He did,
and that ball in for the second goal, or his play for the second goal was brilliant. I think that is where you should be playing him. I think he'd be a better winger because where he's in that number 10 role and there's no one running in front of him, like with the wing-back system, he's got too much time to think about things, and that's probably where he's losing possession or he's not finding the correct pass. But now where he's at wide, he can sort of wait for Ogilvie to come to him, or he can play it back to Bingham in midfield and make a run. You know, I think Martin would be better suited out wide, and I think that we did look good.
Yeah, because when you play in a 3-5-2 of wing-backs, you haven't always got the support there.
No, exactly.
Whereas that time, you're guaranteed if you're out wide because you are that man.
There's a lot more options.
Look back to midfield, you've got Bingham there.
Yeah, so many more options.
That's what I like. What I said to you with the second goal, we've nicked the ball in the middle of the midfield and been able to get it straight out wide to Martin and Ogilvie. Whereas if we'd have been playing the wing backs, Ogilvie probably would have been 20 yards deeper than he was. So we picked the ball up in midfield. And there's no one there. Whereas this system allowed us to pick the ball up in midfield and go at counter.
Well, that goal wouldn't have happened, would it? Yesterday, that goal wouldn't have happened yesterday. We were playing that system.
We'll come away from what happened on the pitch yesterday to what happened off it in Josh Wright. I'm sure people will be interested to hear what our opinions are on it. Reece, we'll start with you. What do you make of the whole situation with Wright?
It's very, very strange, but it's not the first time under Pennock, is it? We've had this kind of situation with a player. Obviously, Pennock's come out and said one thing, and Wright is, in a roundabout way, said he's talking talking out his backside.
Yeah.
So then it's just a case of whose word do you take?
Yeah.
I know who I'm more likely to believe.
Aren't we all?
Well, something must have happened very close to kick-off because Wright's name was on the team sheet and then crossed off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I said to you, maybe a bid has come in. So Pennock thought, maybe he was going to drop him anyway after last week, because whatever Wright did last season, he was excellent last season, deservedly won Player of the Year and whatever, but this season so far he hasn't been good. So I'm not going to slag Pennock off if he had made the decision to drop him to the bench yesterday, but then maybe Wright's gone, if he knows the bid's coming, and gone, don't bother. Maybe, I don't know, just because we don't know the ins and outs, so all we can do is speculate. But then I think about it more, and I can't see Josh Wright being one of these players that refuse to be on the bench, because he's not like that.
No. Dom, I want to ask you, obviously sticking on the Wright situation, could Pennock have dealt with that a lot better in the press conference after the game?
Yeah, there's no need to bring that outside of the four walls if there's been an altercation or whatever. But it's another thing, isn't it? Pennock's come out in the post-match comments and absolutely ridiculed a player. It's not the first time. It's probably not going to be the last time either. And that's why we've seen so many big names and probably fans' favourites leave the club, because he's just fallen out with them. I mean, fair enough. If you drop a player for whatever reason, you drop him. That's that. You don't then have to come out and say post-match, especially a player of Josh Wright, who is probably Mr. Gillingham. He would play, he lives and dies with the shirt. He said that himself. He would do anything for the club. We gave him that second chance when no one wanted him a few years back. And I don't think Josh Wright is that kind of player. And Pennock's now said this. Josh Wright saying the complete opposite, saying I was fit, I wanted to play. Yeah. So someone there is lying, or we've not been told the full story. If a bid's been accepted, I'd rather we were told about it. I know we're not very open about our transfer business, or we've accepted or rejected bids for whoever. Yeah. But if that is the case, I think us as fans deserve to know what is actually going on, because this is a very out of character situation, especially on Wright's part. But the way I see it is that someone is lying about this situation.
Like I said to you yesterday, chaps. Not yesterday, earlier on. So that's now in the last 2 months he's fallen out with Wright and he's fallen out with Nelson. He needs to be very, very careful and consider probably the stature them two have in that changing room.
Yeah.
One's an
not just amongst the fans. They're leaders, they're probably well respected in that changing room, and once you start losing them kind of characters, they can spread like wildfire. Yeah. They really can.
Funny what happened at Forest Green.
That's the thing. This isn't a new thing for Pennock. This is history. What is it? Is it can't handle leaders? I don't know. Can he not handle players with a reputation, or? But non-league manager, I suppose.
But as I said on Twitter yesterday, if someone is lying, if it's Wright lying, then and he's got that attitude, you don't want that at the football club. I don't think he is lying, but if that is what it might be, you don't know. Then you sell him. You say, okay, thanks for what you've done here. We'll let you go. But if it's Pennock, then something seriously has got to be done about it. I don't know if he'll be sacked. Would he be sacked for that sort of situation? I don't think so.
You certainly got to be called into a meeting and said, behave yourself.
Yeah. What I want to ask you, is this the end for Josh Wright at Gillingham Football Club?
Yes.
It's a real shame.
I think it is, because it's not just the fact that him and Pennock have clearly had a falling out of some stature, very close to kick-off of the game, and the fact that he has attracted attention in this window, which we are aware of. Whether a bid's actually been made, we don't know, but we know he's certainly caught a glimpse of a couple of clubs. But he hasn't played well this season. He hasn't played well this season at all. I don't know whether it's the wing-back system not suiting him. It might be that his head's not in the game because he's attracted attention from other clubs. It might just be that he doesn't want to play for the manager, although I don't think he's that sort of player either. But something's not working for him this season, and I don't see Pennock leaving anytime soon, to be completely honest. So I think it's going to be a pretty depressing repeat of what happened to Billy Knott last season. Yeah. Where we just say, we'll just loan you out we'll loan it to Mansfield or something. There you go, son.
While we're on the subject of Pennock, what did you make of his reaction at the end of the game, where he comes storming over, threw the ball at Tom Eaves and gave it the old fist pump, and celebrated like we'd won the World Cup.
Well, your win rate's now gone down from 15% to 14% for a start.
It was more that it wasn't that as much that annoyed me. It was the fact he was, when the ball went up for injury time, he started waving his arms around to the crowd, trying to say like, well, come on, try and liven up and win us the game. Whilst Thomas Holy's taking about a minute and a half to take a goal kick, which he then takes. Eves picks it up in the corner, gives a foul away, and then goes and stands in front of the ball so they can't take it. So he's trying to get the fans to cheer us on to a win, whilst he's got the team time wasting on the pitch. It didn't really make sense. At full time, I can obviously see why he wants to make sure Eves gets his recognition for his hat-trick and whatnot, but, you know, mate, we've still not won.
Yeah.
Like, just
settle
down a little bit.
Yeah.
It must be like, because we scored the last goal, he got fooled himself into thinking, oh, we've won. He didn't look up at the scoreboard and think, no, it says 3-3, mate.
Dom, I know you want to have a little bit of a go about this.
All I can say is, what a dickhead.
Should we go refill our drinks? I think we've got some time.
I mean, fair enough if we've just won the game. I mean, fair enough if he's won more than 4 games out of 27, but he hasn't. And he's coming over to the Rainer men, giving it the old pat of the badge and the hands to the ears. And I'm just standing there thinking, you are a muppet, an absolute muppet. I mean, fair enough. If, like as I said, if we won the game, but for God's sake, what is he doing? What is he doing? Let Tom Eves have his moment. He's just scored a hat-trick. His first goal was in 30 games. Including last season, and he's going over here patting the badge, giving his hands to the ears. There were fans booing him, booing Pennock. I mean, rightfully so. I mean, I just don't understand him. I really don't.
The big question with Pennock is, what weather forecast does he look at on his phone every morning? We're in 24 degrees
and he's wearing a raincoat.
Come out with that raincoat. That's the big thing that winds me up with him. Not his tactics, his team selections. Why in the boiling hot heat has he got a rain jacket on?
It's his fashion that winds me up more than anything else. Not the tactics, not the team selection, not the attitude. It's the fashion.
Raincoat and shorts.
What you brought up as I come up to you just prior to kick-off was that what was quite interesting that he stood out with the other coaches for all the warm-up yesterday. You found that quite interesting, didn't you, Reece?
He's never done that before. It didn't look like he was having an awful lot of input into it.
Bit like Jamie Day then.
He's a note taker, remember?
Oh yeah.
Knocks and crosses, clipboard.
But yeah, he obviously made the decision to do that. Why? I don't know whether it was just in case speak to players individually as they were going round, sort of reinforce messages into them.
Didn't want to see Josh Wright in the same room again. Probably it.
Yeah. But then he also got all the players to walk round the ground and clap before the game and that, which they haven't done yet this season. I don't know. It's just interesting change. Don't know why, but
yeah,
we still didn't win. So
yeah, we'll talk about the crowd. Obviously, the attendance yesterday.
Shocking.
4,300 Gills fans, is that correct?
Yeah. Take off Southend fans.
Take off Southend fans. Reece, are the fans going away from Priestfield?
Well, clearly. Clearly.
Are we down on 2,000 from the Sheffield United game? I'm sure we are.
Yeah, apparently when we played Southend last year, there was like, we've lost nearly 1,000 Gills fans from then.
But we all know where they've gone. They've gone up to Talk London clubs.
I don't know, or whether people just like refuse to come all the time. Certain people are in certain roles at the club. There will be people like that.
Yeah. Do you think you can pinpoint where those 1,000 people have gone?
I can. When you've got to pay £24 to watch a Gillingham team in League One that isn't performing very well, and you've got the choice of going up to a London club for maybe cheaper and spending the day and seeing Premier League football, I know where some people would rather go. Not me personally, because I'm a Gillingham fan through and through. But if you're like sort of like getting into watching Gills, your local team, and you've got the choice of that, I know where you'd rather go. But then again, that's back down to the incentives of the football club. I mean, when we spoke to Nick Ball about it, he said he tried to implement things, but Scally wouldn't have it. I mean, I picked up my season ticket yesterday morning, and I've paid £375. We've still got the 2 free match tickets. Like, there's no incentives there, and we say it every time we talk about this situation. If you get a younger core of fans in, get families in, that's more money for the club. It regenerates from the food sales to shirt sales to anything.
It doesn't justify the price what we're getting, and obviously not on the same scale because Bradford have a 26,000 seat stadium or whatever it is. But you're better off having 8,000 people in there and charging half the price. You make less revenue to begin with, but you've got
you do make it up.
You've got
The food court and that.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
make like
factory,
in some cases
yeah.
you'll make some from the food, you make some from the catering, like in the factory. Some of them will buy. In fact, I reckon most are buy programs. Most day trippers do.
Yeah.
But not only that, you're establishing with younger fans.
And then you gradually
you're
put
getting
the
a
price.
core, you're getting the
Yeah.
next generation
Why
up.
would you charge 24 quid for one ticket when you could just say 15 quid for an adult?
And you bring your kids through, yeah.
No, five
Yeah,
for
well,
kids. You've paid £1 more. You've got 2 more people in the ground, but those kids are going to be like, "Oh, Dad, I want a Mars bar," so go buy a Mars bar.
And if we win, they want to come back again.
Yeah, if we win, you want to come back. Seeing that,
And then you
3-0.
gradually put the
Yeah,
price up
exactly.
over the years,
Yeah,
don't you?
exactly.
Oh, not even that, but you see the 3-0, and it's just like the first half's dire, but the second half is actually you can see some excitement in the ground. That's what actually brings people back. It's not
Yeah, absolutely.
not grinding out a 1-0 win. It's having free game, but having a great spectacle of football for a neutral fan.
Yeah.
And that's what actually connects with younger kids more.
What question I want to ask is, Reece, is it worrying times for Gillingham Football Club?
Obviously, we never know what the state really is behind the scenes, but in terms of from a crowd point of view, this has been they've been dwindling for
Since Martin Allen left.
yeah
Yeah.
for a good 3 or 4 years now. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, I'd never known us to get sub 5,000 home crowds. Now it seems to be quite a regular thing where, unless you get the exception with like Southend where they'll bring big numbers, any team that brings 200 whatever, which happens a lot down at our place,
Yeah.
the crowds are less than 5,000. It ain't ideal, is it, really?
No.
And with the best one in the world, Maidstone, Ebbsfleet, breathing down our backs now, the National League. Ebbsfleet will be in the Football League within 3 years. I can't see them not making it, and that's going to be a big problem because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to go there, and a lot of the fans that are sort of like in that no man's land range between London and Gillingham, in like Gravesend sort of area, just go watch Ebbsfleet.
That's the thing, because if, say, Ebbsfleet, not this season, say next season they got promoted into the conference and we're still, not into League 2, and we're still doing what we're doing, lingering down the bottom end of League 1, and sort of new younger fans are looking to get into supporting a Kent team, and they see Ebbsfleet who are spending money and they've got their new redeveloped ground and all that kind of stuff where they're showing a lot of ambition, or they could come and watch Gills for 25 quid a go or whatever it is, you know, because obviously a kid wouldn't come on their own, the adult would have to come, so it's 25 quid and the fiver for the kids to go whatever. At the end of the day, League 2, League 1, there ain't an awful lot of difference in terms of ability, so if there's a big gap in price, people would go and watch other teams.
The ambition's there at Ebbsfleet, and they're backed by people that have more money than sense, and it's not going to bode well for us, especially because the fact that Maidstone are coming up and they're more traditional sort of club, even though they've recently risen up sort of like AFC Wimbledon did, but in a slower fashion from the depths. Fan owned club right in town centre, and they've got big attendances. They're regularly getting over 2,500.
Yeah, I think they're getting the same amount as Rochdale do.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got the benefit of being free, having a 3G pitch, whereas they can use the stadium 7 days a week.
Yeah.
We'll stay on the topic of funds, but we'll go back to the team. Transfer window ends next week. Can we see anyone coming through the door or anyone going out the door?
I think of one that might go out.
Right.
I'm very certain he's going to go. It looks like.
I can't see anyone coming in. Just can't. Do we need to bring someone in? Maybe. I'd still like a winger.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced it's going to happen. Just from like in the recent weeks when after games Pennock's been asked about it, he's gone, oh, you have to shake the chairman up and down and see what change falls out of his pocket.
The chairman isn't even in the country.
I think that's him saying, no, there's no money.
Yeah.
So
He seems to be like criticising everyone and anyone he can do in every single press conference, doesn't he? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Blame Wright, he didn't want to play. Blame chairman, he's not giving me funds. Blame everyone after Northampton. Blame everyone other than me. Seems to just be completely averse to taking any sort of personal responsibility.
Next 2 games then. We'll start with the more pointless one. The Checker Trade Trophy on Tuesday. Me and Reece will be there.
I won't be. Absolutely not.
Oh,
I'll be
well
working there.
Because I'm not paying £7 to go and watch that. Must be joking.
Reece.
But imagine if we win. Imagine just seeing Phil Brown's little angry face on the touchline, screaming.
Yeah, but then I see.
And
then
see
I
Pennock pat the
then I
badge.
see
Yeah.
Pennock's smiling face. I was going to walk out.
Reece, what side do you think he'll go with?
Obviously, they limit you to only making so many changes, don't they? But maybe something like, we'll probably see this Arnold in goal. See his wonderful
This
abilities.
This Arnold.
This Arnold.
He's that much of a name, I can't even remember his first name. Steve.
Steve.
O'Neill will probably stay right back. I'd expect Ogilvie will stay left back. Maybe Nugent and Lacey at centre half.
He might play Aimer just to rest Lacey for Saturday.
Maybe Wagstaff will get a run out. Maybe Oldacre,
Yeah, keep Bingham in because he's got game fitness.
Wilkinson and Cundall up front, other fault.
Maybe
He'll
Parker
start Wilkinson because he can't play Saturday, so he'll definitely start Wilkinson.
So we'll still have a half decent side out. Obviously, it depends what Southend want to do, but I'm going because it's a game of football. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. If it goes to penalties, we'll lose because we can't take penalties. So it'd be a laugh, wouldn't it?
Oh no, it's only a bonus point. Who cares?
Moving away from Tuesday, back to the more important stuff. Next week, against Shrewsbury at home. Dom, can we see a first Gills win?
I'm not too sure. They've started really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, they were the favourites to go down, weren't they? I think, along with like us and the likes of Oldham, and they've started really well. They got a good point on Saturday away to Oxford.
Stephen Payne.
Yeah, Stephen Payne scored. I don't know how, to be honest. He was awful here, but no, they started really well. I don't think we should underestimate them. But I think, like Saturday, if we set up correctly, start with the correct players in the correct positions, we might cause some problems. And if we do cause some problems, we might actually get a positive result.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really odd one because we looked at our fixtures for the beginning of the season and we thought if we're going to win any game before October, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
And now the season started, we looked at that and gone, maybe not.
Yeah, because they started really well.
Yeah, they started really strongly, but well, sort of like Southend, Shrewsbury are a team that we seem to beat in recent times a lot, especially after we completely robbed them at their stadium last season.
Yeah, what a day.
Around this sort of time of the season, so realistic head on, we're going to lose because we're going to play 3-5-2.
Reece.
We need the win
do
because
we?
obviously, amongst all the excitement from what happened yesterday, you've got to remember we've still not won a game. It's still only a point. We've dropped down a place after yesterday's result
In the relegation, so, aren't we?
Yeah, so if we lose the next 2 games and we end up with 2 points from our first 6 games, it ain't a great position. So we need to make sure that we do take the positives from yesterday and Pennock learns, that having seen what the 4-4-2 did for us, that's the way forward. And if he does that, then I'd be a lot more confident that we can get that first win next week. But if we come back to this 3-5-2, then everyone will go flat again, because you could see the difference in the second half when we played this 4-4-2. The ball was getting wide and the crowd were getting up, people were standing up, bit of excitement, you could feel it building, like a goal was coming.
Yeah.
Whereas if we go back to this 3-5-2, it's all flat, people slouch back down, start booing, getting fed up with it all. So Pennock's surely, even to
Pennock's
him,
got a chance now, hasn't he?
It's so obvious that
He's got a chance now, hasn't he?
Just the dull thing about 3-5-2 is it felt more like an 8-2. It was like the gulf between the 2 attackers and the midfielders. It just felt like you could fit a country in that space.
It's like the part of the Red Sea, isn't it?
Yeah, it just felt like an 8-2. It's like, okay, well, no wonder we got 43% and 6 shots on target before the game. You switch to a 4-4-2, system's positive, the crowd are behind you, and wonders will happen. So we'll play 3-5-2 and we will lose 1-0 to Shrewsbury.
So we'll finish off our moaning as ever.
I didn't
On
moan.
here. You sure?
you're the worst.
Yeah. Thank you to Reece, Dom and Carl for coming on. Hopefully you've gone and watched our Liam Nash interview now live on YouTube. Keep liking, keep subscribing, and as always, up the Gills.